Everybody, for this video I wanted to go over the best week I've ever had. I had a 15k week, and I didn't really make a video all week. I was just kind of focusing on my trading and some other things I had going on, so I figured I would try to make a weekly recap video. Don't always do them because I am scalper type trader, which means I just trade a lot. When you trade a lot, it's really hard to review single trades just because, so many trades, it's really hard to kind of focus on which ones were the most important, but I'll give it a try. See, my overall chart has gone over 200k at $202,702. So really explosive 15k week, best week ever. Shot up over 200k. It's a really nice accomplishment and feels really good to make my second 100,000. Kind of gives me confidence that the first 100 wasn't just luck, it was hard work and dedication and a consistent trading edge. So here we are, up over 200, and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Try to keep scaling up, try to keep working on my patience. Over time, maybe this will shoot up to 500k, something like this in the future. So that's the goal. Always try to get a little bit better each day. Show up, work hard, and things just come together. Alright, so you can see that on Monday I made $2,672. On Tuesday I made $2,579. On Wednesday I made $4,219. On Thursday I made $3,453. And on Friday I made $2,003, which puts my weekly total at $14,928. Very good week, although I will say that there were definitely multiple spots where I made extremely big errors in regards to opportunity cost. Alright, so I'm just going to go over kind of each ticker that I tweeted about. So I played NEAT. Let's see. Alright, so NETE has been quite hot lately. So what I saw was basically this first run up consolidates, perks a bit, you get a pullback. So I was playing this kind of break out of triangle, did break out to test the highs, and now we're in further consolidation. And NETE will be on my watch list all of next week to see if we can get continuation over this $13 area for an additional breakout to perhaps 15 or 16, something like that. I'd be open to the idea of watching it. So this is the day that I played it. I didn't play it very well. I missed good entries and kind of just did what I could. There was pretty good development once it perks in the morning and then comes down. You could just easily take the entry around 10 to try to get the continuation, which it does continue. Once you see it continue and it holds trend, then you could take this entry at 11. That's confirmation. It lead to some nice upside, and then further development for another confirmation entry at 11.52, and it does lead to 11.90s and eventually 12.20. So that's the play I took. I took this 11.50 entry and took it to like 12.10, I believe. So I waited a very long time before I got involved. Wasn't very good, but Bill provided a play, and then in the afternoon, same thing really. Just a nice, shows it can hold, forms a double bottom triangle, nice confirmation entry. They have been hard to catch this pop, but if you miss that, it does bottom, and then you can just buy this continuation at 11:30 for a nice run. And I did not play that. I actually played this development here, confirmation 12:45, scalped it for 50 cents a share, something like that. So you can see that I'm just using TA structures to help me find entry zones that have upside with little risk. My style always has been. I like to play wedge formations and wait for confirmation so that I'm not buying something that's going to dump on me right away. Or that's the goal, that's the goal, to avoid getting dumped on. So you have to wait for proper development if you want to achieve that. Now there's YCBD. It's a 35 mil float, drug manufacturer. This one had a pop, was developing. I noticed that it had just broken out over the 210 area. Actually glad that I pulled this up because it is developing quite nicely in this $2 range. It's holding quite well, so I actually think this would be a pretty good watch next week. And I'll go over the trade I took on it. And the main reason why I want to go over this trade is because one of the biggest trades I've taken as far as a capital investment in a long time. So this was kind of the day one run up. Now it shows that it's quite choppy. It can go up real fast and come down real fast. So I was keeping this in mind, that this might be a tricky ticker to play and that I have to be careful. However, because of the long-term chart setup, I thought that there's a chance I could get in this and it could just become a really strong ripper. So that's why I played it, even though it's more of a choppier ticker. I just thought it was at the point on the long-term chart where it could just explode. And that ended up not happening. So let's see if I can find the trade. Alright, so 242.5 was my entry. Okay, so right in this area is when I began scaling in. Reason being, in the morning, it showed it broke out of the horizontal, it pulled back, and it was able to hold the morning support. And it's not perfect, but it was making somewhat of a higher low. And so that to me was a good indicator that this would at least test the highs from the morning. And if it broke out of those highs, I was thinking it could make a strong run to the 270s. My goal was to sell it at around 275. That would be 30 cents a share, and it would be a $1,000 winning play. However, after I take my 10,000 shares, 242.5, and I do end up getting the uptrend, it does break out. Strong pullback that I hold through. It holds, and then it comes up. And I notice it's struggling and it's quite slow. If something breaks out like this, I would have expected it to at least test 260 or break out into the 260s. If this was going to go parabolic, it was struggling, and then it felt like it was going to break down. So I cut it at 254, once it fell to kind of flag over the 257. 257 was very strong resistance and it could not get over it. So once it tried about 3 or 4 times and it felt slow and it couldn't get over it, it was just a huge red flag. And I thought to myself, well, I'm in a very big position. This is a ticker that can come down fast and hard. And I'm up $1,200. So I'm going to go ahead and sell it. So I sold it at 254, locked up a $1,200 win. So this is an example of a trading plan that fails, but I cut intelligently and was able to still make $1,200 on a play that still failed. Okay, so it's kind of cool, I guess. Obviously very happy that I cut it because I would have lost all my profits and probably ended up taking a red trade if I got too comfortable in this. Never get comfortable in your positions. They can come down in an instant. You have to always be thinking about what it's doing, how the price is reacting to certain price zones and the price action, and you have to analyze this stuff and make your best judgment. Interesting that it panicked, sells to 220 and then pops back up and gets back to 254. So that was actually a really nice dip buy opportunity, but I wasn't comfortable with it, so I never got back involved. Solo. Now this of course is part of the energy sector, and with Tesla going crazy to 1,400 a share. There was Solo, there was FUV, there was so many. BLNK, lots of energy related tickers that made runs. Solo, really nice development into the pop. 2-day pullback. Get a nice surge for continuation. And it had a really strong breakout all the way up to 6. Didn't really play Solo very well on the run up. But I did want to go over a trade I took on it. Yeah, so on this day is when I took my trade on it. This one right here, 5,000 shares at 421.8, sold it at 454. So, all right. Let's see if I can explain this. So first off, you can see pretty clearly it has a very clean wedge formation. And not just that, it had very clean volumetric, which of course I love for bounce plays. I think clean volumetric is important for bounce plays. It's not necessary all the time, but helps my thesis. And so once this bottoms and holds the triangle for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, that is when I took the entry at 422 right here as the trend changed. So what this means is I timed it. I timed it to where it was done testing the bottom of the range. It had succeeded in holding the bottom of the range. Now what does this mean? It means it has proven itself, which is confirmation that the stock is not going to just fall. You know, it's not just going to drop on you. It has proven that it has held. I am taking it after it has proven that, and I am taking it on the way up. Statistically, this thing is going to test the top of the range. Statistically, because it held a double bottom with perfect TA with perfect volumetric. Because of all these factors, very, very strong indication that this is going to continue and actually break out of the top of the range and continue its bounce. It's very hard to explain this over Twitter at times, and I do run into the occasional person that tells me that I made a bad trade and I was lucky, and I got lucky that I didn't lose money. I run into these people quite often, and to them, well, I mean, what can you do? It's a very complex way that I think about these things, and it's hard to explain that. In a certain period, in a certain area, it's important to explain that I'm buying this on the way up. I'm not buying it here and hoping it holds. No. I'm letting it hit. I'm watching it. Once it is held, I buy it on the way back up. You see, it's much different, and it's really hard to explain these things to people that don't understand how it works. So that was the explanation there. The goal was to test top of range, the major resistance from pre-market, and it did that, and I sold it at 454. So I literally sold it at the top. The idea was extremely sound, the risk reward was amazing, and the overall play was just slam dunk. Absolutely nailed it. The idea of the risk, the idea of where it would go, nailed it completely. This is a beautiful scalp formation or play that is just bouncing. Test major resistance zone. It's not a home run setup. You know, this is not something I'm going to make a ton of money on, and I knew this going into the trade. Just a nice single, $1,000 or no, $1,500. 5,000 shares, 30 cents a share, $1,500 trade. Nice and simple. You know, rinse and repeat. This is my setup. This is what I like. There is one more factor that I have to get into when it comes to the solo trade. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at BLNK on the same day. Alright. This was on the 7th. 7th at 11:11. Okay. Want y'all to take a look at this. Take a look at BLNK. You see something familiar? Yes, of course you do. You see the triangle pattern, you see the descending volume, you see the confirmation entry. I wasn't sure if BLNK would bounce. Well, guess what? It bounced. What happens when a ticker in the sector is kind of leading the way, kind of not, but what do you think it does to the market's confidence once they see one of the sector tickers bounce? Well, their confidence goes up that other tickers in the sector will also bounce. Statistically, this helped my thesis on solo. It gave me a further edge in solo. This is when I bought solo. You see this white box? This is the exact time that I bought solo. BLNK was showing it successfully bounced, so I assumed that solo would also successfully bounce. Because what do you notice about solo? It is delayed. It hasn't bounced yet. It is delayed, but it's the same setup. The market confidence is going to be more bullish once they see BLNK has already bounced. They're going to look for other tickers in the sector that have not bounced yet. So this is why this is why this trade was winning. Very winning trade. High win rate. Very good risk reward. This trade is printing money. It is an exceptional trade. and it has nothing to do with luck. This was, you can't get any better than this. So to the people that don't understand it, I hope you understand it now. This had nothing to do with luck. This was very, very, very strong thesis based on multiple different factors. And you just have to look for the factors in real time. Oh, right place, right time. I saw BLNK, saw solo didn't go yet, saw the TA was perfect, took my entry once the proper development occurred and the proper price action. So, you gotta understand there's like a lot of things flowing all at once, all around you, all in real time. And you have to take all those things, snatch them out of the air, put them into your equation, and then play it correctly in real time. And you have to do all of this before the ticker runs. You have to time it. You have to. The point I'm trying to make is, yes, it's very complex stuff. A lot of this stuff, yeah, you can see it after the fact, but to really execute these things in real time, you're gonna have to put in the time and effort to gain experience, because this stuff has to become second nature if you want to execute it correctly in a timely manner and not miss it. You're gonna have to get really good at making very just on the fly decision making and being able to perform. You know, this is performance. You have to practice over and over and over so it becomes second nature. So I think solo probably the most explanation that I'm have to do in this video, just because I think it's one of the hardest trades to kind of understand why I did what I did on it. So definitely nothing I could explain over Twitter. It's much too long to explain. Alright, so XSPA, another trade. Again, I'm just going over the major trades from the week, and what do I consider major? Just trades that I made the most money on, that I took the biggest capital positions on, challenging myself to size up. So let's talk about XSPA. This was a recent split, so a reverse split makes the float go down, usually makes it more volatile because the float is lower. Okay, so I noticed that XSPA really hasn't had a strong bounce since the split. However, it is kind of a large float now, and it's not my favorite ticker, because it's not very bullish anymore. It's had a few offerings, and it's like, at this point, it really is just too crappy to play. But I was willing to take a shot at it, at least. So, it has this perk, right? And then it comes down. And I noticed, it kind of holds on this day, and then on the day I played it, it held again. So what you see is, again, it's just like a bottom bounce kind of development. It's one of those plays where you can enter it. It has proven to hold for 3 days. So I'm confident. Again, I'm taking it on the way up after it is already proven that it is held. Okay. So I'm extremely confident in the risk reward that if it starts to bounce and it catches fire and ignites, it could explode up, and suddenly I just make a bunch of money on something that was very low risk. Okay, so this is why I played it. I didn't know if it would ignite or not, but it turns out my thesis was pretty sound, and it did ignite. It wasn't as explosively fast as I thought it could be, but at this point, with the offerings and with the float, this thing is just not going to be able to ignite very easily anymore. So I think at this point I'm probably going to stop playing XSPA unless it gets some really good PRs. I mean, it really is just an obvious kind of, it holds the support on the multi-day, descending on the intraday, higher lows into the test of the intraday trend, which it then breaks out of, and I took confirmation of the breakout. So it confirms it's breaking out of the downtrend with a multi-day thesis multi-day plan, whatever you want to call it. It supported my thesis, and I do get the rip. Again, not as explosive and fast as I maybe expected, therefore I sold too soon. I sold it, actually it popped to like 408. I was looking for 430s, 440s. I didn't know this would just start ripping into a halt. That was really my hope, but it was too slow for a halt. So basically it came down. I sold it at 4 or 3.99 just because I realized I'm up $1,500 and this thing just went on a major rip with lots of volume and it's kind of struggling in the $4 area. You know, I'm not willing to hold this any longer and risk my profits. I'm just not willing to do that. So I locked up the $1,500 and it does actually end up flagging again and reaches 427. So I did leave 1,000 on the table, but you know, 1,500 on a $2,500 move, to me that is good enough. I'm happy with it. I think the entry was perfect and the exit was a good chunk of the move. I'm happy with it. Alright, so now I'm just going to go over PSV and WIMI. These are the plays from Friday that I messed up and, you know, could have had the best day of my career if I just played them properly. But I could have said that about a lot of days. So these slow grinders are probably my biggest weakness. I'm really bad at being patient with these. And yeah, so let's just go over it real quick. Has morning news. There's like a couple different trend lines that you can make on this, but overall it breaks out, it holds the breakout. Let's see, where was I trying to play it? Okay, I see. So I saw the formation. I thought it was going to break out. I bought it too soon and I sold it because I realized like, I think I'm buying it too soon. I don't know what's gonna happen. I just freaked myself out. It hits 115, it holds, comes back up, and this was basically a sign that okay, time to take another shot at it. But I just wasn't comfortable for whatever reason. There was a lot of volume going in and out. It had already gone on a rip from 80 cents to $1.20. I didn't know if I was chasing it. I just felt uncomfortable. And when you feel uncomfortable, I should have just sized down. Maybe take 2,000 shares, maybe take 3,000, but I took 5,000, and I think the combination of the size and just the overall kind of percent gain it was already up, it got to my head, and once you let emotion come into your head, you don't trade well. So I just didn't even take the trade. Yeah, it's too bad. It's too bad because this had so much opportunity. I could have re-entered at 120, got in the rip, but again, even if I did take the re-entry, you're looking at a pretty extreme patience play. So I would have never caught this upside. I'm just not patient enough. There's no way I would have caught the upside. But it is good to look at the chart and at least kind of realize, okay, just look at the development. It is an ascending triangle, kind of a fresh range breakout, tons of volume on the day. When there's this much volume, usually there needs to be more consolidation, more price action, more time needs to pass in order for this play to find its peak upside. So it is a patience play, nice grinding trend. So, you know, looking back at this, if I see this pattern in the future, maybe next week, I'm going to try to take it, try to be patient, just have a better trading plan so that I can actually bank on one of these plays instead of avoiding it. Just very nice, very nice. And we have WIMI, which again, just crazy. Let's see. See, now this was kind of the same development as on PSV. Sort of. It was a little more choppy. Not as clean. Not as clean as PSV. But this is why I was watching it. Okay. So I kind of saw it late. You can see that it formed kind of like this confirmation entry around 840. And I didn't really like my entry. I got filled at 847. It did come up, but I mean, we're talking about seconds. Like, I just wasn't patient by maybe like 5 seconds. And I just got filled kind of high, and it was kind of hanging here at 850. 50-ish, and I was just thinking, oh man, what if this just like reverse dumps back to like 8 and I just take a, I had 2K shares, so if this just reverse dumps, I'd be looking at $600, maybe $800 risk, worst case scenario, and it got to my head and I took the exit for $160 win. It did do what I wanted though, which was the $9 test and surged 940. Would have been nice to sell it around 920. That would have at least been a $1,400 win. But really, I think just the fact that I entered so late, it got to my head and I wasn't able to properly hold. I would have preferred, any entry would have been better. There's a confirmation entry at 790. This is kind of pushing it. There is kind of like this double bottom formation that you could take a 755 area, but I think there's not that much conviction there. I don't really think I would ever take that, but I do like this structure, kind of like this false breakdown recovery, breaks out of this side trend for a 790 entry. I think that's actually probably the entry I would have preferred, so I could have been patient and just held it for a longer trend. But honestly, I like this entry in the afternoon much better. At this point, I'd have been trading a lot on the day. I think I was just kind of burned out. And at this point, I think just my confidence or something was kind of not there. Whatever the case, this was just very, very nice development for a late day squeeze, because you can see it broke out of the pre-market highs. And what do you see? It's consolidating and holding above the breakout with higher lows. And this is just a Friday squeeze pattern. It's obvious. It's very obvious, but it's hard to pull the trigger at the same time. See confirmation. This is probably the best entry. I like this 1040 entry even better than these $8 range kind of like choppy area. This is more like you enter it and you're just going to get a rip. There's no guessing, you just get the rip. And this is really the entry that I like the most the entire day. So it goes from 1040, just get an insta rip to 1180, consolidates, rips again to 1360. And if you held it in anticipation for an after hour squeeze, you'd absolutely bank. And I don't normally hold things for after hour squeezes, but I'm starting to see it more and more. So depending on the situation, if I feel like the chart hasn't really run before close, I might start holding like maybe half size into after hours to see if I can get some upside there. Not something I'm completely comfortable with, but I am open to the idea as I keep seeing it more and more. So we'll see. So I'm gonna end the video there. Just wanted to go over kind of the major plays I took throughout the week, and of course, be transparent, show each each day's profit, show the weekly profit, and yeah, another amazing week, and hopefully I can just continue in the next week. Keep doing what I'm doing. Don't have to overthink this stuff too much. Just as you get more comfortable, you can size up a bit more, and of course, if you know you have flaws, such as I know I have patience issues, just work on those, and over time you'll get better a little bit each day. Exponential growth, very nice. Just keep at it, keep working hard, don't stop. You can get to where you want to be. Thanks for watching the weekly recap video. You can like and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you on the next video.